think there are four main technologies. Let's concentrate on the first two. The first is XML, and I think XML as a technology is well worn in the marketplace now today. And it's well established. It's established itself now as the de facto means by which applications will talk to each other. And the next very small incremental step on from that is the concept of web services. And it's worth just talking about those for a second. Conceptually, imagine a child who gets his first box of Lego, and he gets the Lego and he piles it out onto the floor, and he takes the little bits of Lego and then builds something new. Okay, and he then decides that he doesn't like that, and he's going to crash it all down and rebuild it. And every time he rebuilds it, he's building something completely different, with a completely different set of characteristics and a completely different shape. The small blocks of Lego are web services, and where they come from are existing applications. So the means by which applications are built today are small functions which are built up to make larger bits of functionality and then larger applications. So, for example, a CRS or a GDS system is made up of hundreds, if not thousands, of these small Lego blocks. And these web services can be distributed anywhere, and they can be plugged in anywhere. They can be wired into other people's applications. And so the next stage, or the next step along the evolutionary ladder that will really completely change the way we do business will be the harnessing and exploitation of web services. Two other areas which make make web services important, or in order for them to work properly, are payment systems and community systems. Now, in addition, web services, what will happen with the large applications that are out there today is that they will be broken up into components, and these components can be, in of themselves, separately distributed to other applications, other markets, even other devices. Okay, so look, here's a really good example of how web services will work. If we take a central reservation system, even the older ones are built from smaller components. These smaller components can be disaggregated from the larger functional system and distributed to various end users of those applications. So if you take, for example, check availability, actually book a transaction, or even if you want to find out some very specific information about what it is that you want to book, i.e. the content around the transaction, those tiny bits of functionality can be disaggregated and distributed to much smaller tourism providers or end users. Well, first and foremost, the three biggest providers of technology on the planet, IBM, Microsoft, and Sun, are banking their entire futures on the sale of applications which are built around web services. All three of those providers are providing tools to the development community globally that will enable them to convert existing applications, existing disaggregated functions, into web services. I think the second tier of providers are based around organizations, and those could be consultancies, they could be systems integrators who are providing specialist services to perhaps some of the larger companies, larger corporates out there, to not just identify what their existing digital assets are. In other words, what things could they disaggregate from their existing applications and systems that they could distribute in the market, but also how they could physically wrap those in a fashion that will turn them into a web service. So that's the system integrators tier. Probably the last tier will be generically electronic marketplaces or platform providers, organizations that allow an end user, and in our industry that would be tourism providers, to select specific bits of functionality that they require. And conceptually, this is perhaps the most significant aspect of web services, is that we will very soon see the concept of a pick and mix store, a software pick and mix store, where the smallest tourism provider on the planet can actually go to a website and pick just the very, very granular aspects of applications that they require, which could be just check availability, which could be just hold my inventory, which could be just handle my payments. And so those generically, I think, are the three different types of organizations that are providing services around web services.